What's happening, guys? So we are back today for this video. It is going to be about clay. Believe it or not, we actually make our own clay for pottery and stuff. We're still in the experimentation phase, uh, but scientifically speaking, it's very straightforward. That's actually some clay that we just finished. Well, I wouldn't say it's finished. But it's getting pretty close. Uh, in terms of processing, what we did is referred to as a wet processing. This may be a touch lengthy of a video, so do bear with me here. It's mostly going to be informational. We will do another video, as always, with a hands-on demonstration of what we do in terms of separating the soil, getting the clay, separated from everything else. I really like wet processing. Just because I have to use what's available to me, and generally it's not going to be very clean. So being able to clean it, through wet processing really does me well. There is a dry processing. Um, Generally, that's going to be for just a straight up clay. You just dry it out, grind it up, add in your temper. For those of you that don't know what temper is what keeps your your pottery and stuff from exploding whenever it is heated. Give or take, it's not going to 100% resist, but it does assist. Um, so what we did here is I had a friend who works with dirt. Just at work, they were digging something. I don't know if it was sewage or what, or for sewage. I don't. It wasn't sewage, but they got about 4 foot down and they hit a bunch of clay. He only brought me like a couple Walmart bags, just a little bit here, a little bit there, kind of thing. But in total, I mean, we only spent about a day. And look at this brick here that we ended up with. It's a pretty little hefty brick, a couple pounds. I mean, I'd say that's probably at least 10 pounds right now. Again, it's not finished, but from what I was researching on Amazon, that's about a $25 to $50 brick we got for the low price of free. Say it with a little bit of a southern accent, right? But anywho, it was very straightforward. So we got the clay. I let it sit in the bucket. I drenched it, and what I did is I just stirred it, and filled that bucket up. And over about a month, I let it evaporate back down. And the reason I did that is because I really wanted to focus on settling, even though it was a very clean product. I just kind of wanted to help the sand, clay, silt, and debris separate. And even though it got covered in leaves, I mean, I can get leaves out no problem. So basically, once it cracked real hard on the surface, and you could really tell it was predominantly clay. What we did is we went and got the leaves out, and then I just started adding water little by little, and just you mix it, you mix it, you mix it. The idea is clay can actually be. We're going to use terms loosely here, just so I can get the information across. Don't use them 100% accurately. So clay dissolves, similar to salt. Not quite, but water does pick up. It's known to pick up clay very well. So what we were doing is when we're adding water, you're stirring it and stirring it and stirring it. You're trying to get the clay to be one with the water. Uh, that way you can pour off the clay through a screen. What we used was window screen. So you put window screen over a bucket, and you're stirring, and then you pour some on. And then you put it back down, and you start adding water, and then you're stirring. And we filled up this huge mason tub of mostly just predominantly clay water. And then you let it settle. You let all that clay settle. And it took about a day or two. And then what I did is I siphoned out most of the water, and then I poured off the excess. Put some fans on it for about a day or two. And then it was really wet, but it was time to start processing. So we added our temper. What that was for us is we used dichotomous earth. And again, we can do another video on temper later, in depth. That's just what we added because, again, we had it on hand. So my significant other specifically, she loves doing pottery and art stuff. She started to mend the clay. So we added in the dichotomous earth to suck out excessive amounts of moisture, and then she started mixing it for a couple hours. And I had two cyclone oscillating fans. We had put them in a stationary position to where they weren't oscillating like this. and we kind of hit it at an angle to where they hit each other. You know, they collided right over. You know, the airflows collided right over the clay. Um, and so while she was working it, I mean, it was just evaporating all that extra water. We spent about another hour yesterday, so you know, a day later, we spent about another hour working it. Again, traditionally more than we would have, but it is a learning process, and we wanted to guarantee that we had a quality clay before we moved on to the next project or the next piece of the project. So once she forms the clay after we've made it, we have to practice and learn how to build, you know, like a kiln, a way to fire it without having an actual kiln. And we do have some things, but when you're learning, you don't want to change up the variables too much. You kind of want to take it piece by piece by piece. So what we're doing is we're trying to make sure none of that clay at any point dries out. It all stays at the same consistency that whole time through the drying process, which kind of guarantees, and again, I'm using that loosely, guarantees what kind of mix we'll have. Honestly, 100% happy with it. It wasn't really that complex. It was a lot easier than I thought it would be, and I learned a lot. It turns out, so I knew clay was present in the majority of soils that we had, but I never understood that clay, especially for pottery, can be extracted from any soil. Even sandy soils generally have some amount of clay somewhere in some form of deposit or something. Um, would it be worth it? Probably not. But you could get clay out of it. And there's also 4 different types of clay. So how fine is the clay? The clay we ended up with is like a red or brown clay, predominantly brown. It's going to be a little bit more breathable, a little bit more coarse. So in terms of art, apparently the white clay is so fine that you can get amazing detail, almost like you're working with a marble or something whenever you're carving and forming it. While this red clay is going to be more like a terracotta pot, this brown clay, this earthy clay that we have. And it's not that we mind, it's just, you know, indifference from practicality to art, 2 different purposes means 2 different types of clay. But that means that I could just go to a white clay deposit. You know, it's not, again, it's all part of the learning process. That's part of what we ended up learning. So right now we have it sitting in a bag that's kind of open, but not like, you know, completely open. We'll work it again today. We'll probably do it over the you know, a little bit every day over the course of a week. Once it gets to the right, I'm gonna say humidity, but really it's like the amount of water that's in it. Whenever it gets to the right consistency, there you go, the right consistency. Um, we will actually saran wrap it and store it. Now I read up because obviously, you know, I'm a little bit into mycology. I was like, okay, well that's a good place for mold. So we're not going to store it in the house, but in terms of storage, do we have to be careful? So I was reading up. Apparently, yes, it will grow mold once you've stored your briquettes. Um, but there's an upside to it. So the plasticity, the workability of the clay apparently increases with the mold. So most people in the pottery industry or something like that, whatever it's referred to as, actually like the smell. It means it's a quality clay. It's had time to age almost. It's apparently that mold smell, even since it's harmless, just the mere smell of it, it's like a fine wine. It tells the, you know, the artist or whoever's, you know, working with it, that this is a quality clay and that they will definitely be happy with the outcome. Lilo scared me. The outcome of it. So just a little bit of a side note for you guys, and like I said, as we go through the process, I will start producing videos. This is more of like an intro. So don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, hit the bell icon, get notified every time I post another video, especially since it's traditionally informational. Be nice out there, be kind, and have a great day.